You guys really thought we were going to let you guys leave without giving you a school check-in? Stop playing this. It's time for school check-in. Some new news coming from Minnesota. Coaching staff updates. Addition. Of course, Kevin O'Connell expected to be introduced this Thursday. Ed Dontel, defensive coordinator. Mike Pettin, defensive assistant. Man, they coming through with some big-time individuals. Deshae Townsend, a guy that we were hyped about, actually decided to go to Jacksonville. I spoke with Deshae on Saturday. He informed me he got a bigger role with the Jacksonville Jaguars outside of what Minnesota was trying to offer him. So he decided to take his talents down in Duval. But Pat P, based on what you know, hearing about this staff, what do you know about Donatel and Pettin when it comes to the defensive-minded guys they have getting ready to run this defense? I know Mike Pettin has been around the league for quite a long time. I think his last stop was a defensive coordinator for Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Very aggressive. Speaking of Mike, very aggressive. Want to get after the quarterback. Love his corners to be in the receiver faces, being physical. That's going to come off the edge and tackle. Just a very, very aggressive mindset. I had an opportunity to play against his team. I'm sure I played against a couple of his team when he was a defensive coordinator, but when he was with the Browns, those guys was pretty stout. At that time as well, just couldn't find a consistent quarterback. To keep on the center. And then Ed, actually, he was the corners coach when the San Francisco 49ers were recruiting me back in 2011.
Yeah.
And actually, man, Ed had an opportunity to grow a relationship over the years because he was still there under the Harbaugh era. Did he end up going somewhere else? I can't remember exactly.
The last 3 years, he was the defensive coordinator for the Broncos.
Yes. And but he was somewhere before that. I think he might have was with the Bears, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was with the Bears. Yeah, he was with the Bears because he was with Vic. So, every time we played the Bears, I had an opportunity to talk to him. We always just had small talks, all the time. So even when he came, up here for, training camp, when he was with the Broncos last year. So I have a pretty good relationship with him, but, for the most part, I think he's a quarters guy, quarters guy, not a high pressure guy, will send pressure, but rely on his front four to create pressure so he can play a lot of coverages on the back end, have more eyes on the quarterback to create more turnovers. Yeah, man, very sound, defense wherever he's been, especially in that San Francisco era when they had the Carlos Rogers, Dante Whitner, or should I say Dante Hittner?
Hittner.
Who else they had out there? Oh, they had
Brown. I think Terrell Brown was a corner.
Yeah, man, they just had a very, very solid, well-coached football team. So, I know Coach Ed is gonna, if fortunate if I'm there next season, he's definitely gonna have one of the smartest defenses on the football field for sure.
And I can tell you this much: I'm real excited to see exactly what he will do defensively because he comes from that 3-4 tree. When he was a DB coach in San Francisco, the years you talked about, Pat P, they ran 3-4. If you look at what he did, being tied to Vic Fangio, ran a 3-4. Mostly, I think, the last few years there in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. So Minnesota has always been known to be a 4-3 based defense. Now, with most offenses coming out in 3 wide receiver sets, you usually in your sub packages more than anything. But seeing if he will present some 3-4 elements to the defense. So we have to wait and see. In other news,
I think honestly he'll have versatility to do that because we had some defenses last year where we, played a little bit of a hybrid, 3-4. So he got so he'll have guys like, Daniil can easily, stand up and come off the edge. You got Mike Peterson in the middle that can be a 3-5 tech. Then you got who else we had up there? DT, who can be a nose guard. Then you got a young DJ who can play a 5 and a 9. You know what I mean? So you got guys that's interchangeable that you can, have a hybrid, style 3-4 defense still for sure.